The ultimate tournament of everything.
Welcome to the Tournament of Everything, a bracket-style show where we compare random pages off Wikipedia to other, probably equally random pages off Wikipedia.
That's exactly correct. And we do so by training an infinite amount of gorillas to type. We assign one element of infinity to each one of those gorillas, and set them down in front of a typewriter. Which one will produce Hamlet first? Well, that will be the one moving on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Coco over here has actually smashed the typewriter into many little bits and keeps signing that she wants to tickle me. I'm worried.
I think that's the Scottish play.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You're right.
Yep.
You're
All
right.
right. So since your typewriter's all busted, let's do something else.
Yeah, why don't instead we pick a random page off Wikipedia using, I don't know, like a random page generator?
Haha, it's amazing what technology has brought us, and it's amazing what time has brought us here in the Ultimate Tournament of Everything, round one.
In round one, we have Taxi Driver, the 1978 film, against Clawson, Hose, and Harby.
Which are three names that I'm sure would make excellent taxi drivers. So we'll see if they'll be able to run up the higher fare here in this round. Let's jump right into it.
Now, of course, Taxi Driver, the 1978 film, is one everybody knows. It's the 1978 Indian Tamil language film, directed and written by N.S. Manian. The film stars Josh Nikar, S.A. Ashokan, M.R. Radha, and Sridevi. It was released on August 18th of 1978.
It was indeed. Now you might be thinking, oh, it was Taxi Driver going to be the one came out 2 years earlier with Robert De Niro, Scorsese, but you would be wrong. But this did not have a cast of any fewer amount of absolute stars, including Jai Shankar, S.A. Ashokan, M.R. Radha, and I could continue for at least two more names.
Now, if you're wondering what happens in this movie, well, we'd love to tell you, but where a plot would normally be, instead, Wikipedia tells us that a plot is needed.
Absolutely. That makes a good movie. And so maybe this made a great movie. There's no plot whatsoever. It just goes on. It's kind of like, I'm extrapolating here, but is this the Seinfeld of Indian movies?
How the plot doesn't thicken.
Well, if it didn't thicken in this one, their director, it looks like he had a lot of chances prior to it. This was his the actor here, the top casting, his 150th film as an actor. It seems though at a glance that the music was really the shining element of this film.
Yeah, they list 4 tracks in the track list, all sung by S.P. Balasubramaniam.
That's enough letters, at least probably for 3 names. And speaking of 3 names, let's jump over to our other competitor, Clawson, Hose, and Harby.
Now, of course, you mean the civil parish in Leicestershire, England, forming part of the Melton district.
Of course I do. This is the village that contains Harby, Hose, and Long Clawson, and the parish was created from those former parishes on the 1st of April in 1936.
Now, it was originally named just Clawson and Harby. The population of the civil parish, when they last checked in 2011, was 2,577. Now, it doesn't say people, so I'm assuming living beings, probably people, but one can never really be sure.
No, and that's the beauty of Wikipedia. For facts are what you make them, and that is the day of present, I would say, in a lot of ways. But speaking of present, what a gift we have here in this round with this film, which is not the one you're thinking of, but now it's the one that you're aware of, versus these towns that looks like they all melted together to form part of the Melton district. Rob, which one are you leaning towards?
I think I'm going to have to go with Clawson, Hose, and Harby just because it sounds like a law firm that would fight for the little man. Whereas the Taxi Driver, if I know anything about the Indian version, which I don't, sounds like something I'm unfamiliar with.
Well, it sounds like something that we're vaguely familiar with, but it's not that thing. So kind of maybe, if not a disappointment, I don't know if we're going to put in the 3 hours or however long this film is to watch it and find out, but I'd have to watch the other one too. I know it exists. I assume that these other towns exist, and positive existence, I would have to say, is better than speculative existence. So I think I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah, that's great. I think we should definitely move, our friends Clawson, Hose, and Harby into round two.
Agreed.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Starting off contentious tonight.
Yeah, no, that was a really, really close one that we knew very little about.
Yep, absolutely. And that makes for the best. But we never know anything about what's coming next. And that is round two.
It's time for round two.
In round two, we have the IOOF Hall against Bendigo Airport in Pennsylvania.
Two, it appears, structures, two locations, significant in their own right. Let's see which one is going to move champion of the first round of the Ultimate Tournament of Everything to their long list of accolades.
The IOOF Hall in Mokulumne? I don't know. You spent some time in California. How do I pronounce that word?
McCollumney.
Okay, McCollumne Hill, California. Historical landmark number 256. It is said to be California's first three-story building to be erected outside of the coastal towns. And the original building was erected in 1854 as a two-story building, and a third story that rose it to great fame was added in 1861.
And back then, a three-story building was a veritable skyscraper. And now I'm not the first to say these words because I'll be reading a quote. But this hall was a grand survivor. Built after the first fire in 1855, it was sold to the Odd Fellows in 1860, and they began construction of that third story, celebrating their feat with a grand ball. Tickets were $6 plus an extra $1.50 for dinner, and some may have grumbled at the price, but the whole town attended.
Things in California being expensive since forever.
Yeah, and it's this hall is still party central. The first floor houses the Hole in the Wall, which is still one of the foothills' liveliest bars.
Now, you know what probably doesn't have Lively Bar? I'm hoping.
I hope it.
The Bendigo Airport, the public use airport located in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. It's 2 miles south of the central business district of Tower City, and this airport is privately owned by Helen Bendigo.
Okay, yep. So nice, good for her. Threw her name on it. This is not, just a tiny little airstrip. It covers an area of 41 acres. Is that 17 hectares? I don't know what an acre is actually, how big that is. But they use that all the time. There's only one runway. But it's got dimensions. It's pretty big, and planes seem pretty able to land on it.
Most planes probably can. It is 2,325 feet long and 60 feet wide. So if you need more than that to take off your plane, you shouldn't go here.
Yeah, probably go a little further. I'm looking. It's in Pennsylvania. It's in the east, central portion of the, kind of mid north south port, location on this in the state. It's probably a good place to fly in if you're the type of person who has a plane to just go places. Must be nice.
Must be nice, but I don't think it's as nice as the party central that is IOOF Hall.
No, and if you find yourself landing at the Bendigo Airport, you're still so far away from this place. And as has been stated, it is still party central. So, Rob, I think I'm going to concur wholeheartedly. And let's move on. IOOF, the Fighting Youth Hall, to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
I wonder if dinner's still $6.
I hope so. It's gonna get off the ground quicker than if your runway is taking off, you've got real problems.
Yeah, that big issue.
Yeah, what do we say? 2,000 feet long? That's pretty big. But what is also a real big deal is round three.
It's time for round three.
In round three, we have Sinafia Divaricata against the 2004 NASDAQ 100 Open Women's Doubles.
Oh, wow. Just, okay. A combat of champions right here. A shrub endemic to Western Australia. You can rarely beat that. Although this here is the women's doubles. We had defending champions coming in, but competing with different partners. We got intrigue. We've got conflict. We've got two great contestants. So let's find out all we can about them.
Now, Sinafi divaricata is not only a shrub, it is a tufted shrub that typically grows to about a foot tall and usually blooms between June and October, producing beautiful yellow flowers.
Does this mean it's like a fluffy shrub? It's a short, squat type of shrub?
Yeah,
I like the word.
it's a low shrub. One of those that if you saw it, you wouldn't really think like, oh, I should trim that back, because it's like just at that height where if you had one in your yard, you'd probably leave it.
Oh, okay. Well, if you did have one in your yard would be found on the slopes of the Western Wheat Belt and the Goldfield Esperance regions in Western Australia. Sounds pretty nice. It grows in the sandy soils over quartzite.
That's pretty interesting. It grows in sandy soils over a specific type of rock, making this tufted shrub just a little extra special.
It did indeed. But talking about extra special, let's jump over to our other competitor, the 2004 NASDAQ 100 Open Women's Doubles. What event are we even talking about here? Where I see that they're competing. I see that there are winners, there are losers, but I don't see what they are winning and or losing in.
I believe this is tennis, Mike. Tennis.
Okay, well, until we see otherwise, we're going to have to just believe that. But we could proceed with that assumption. Looks like Nadia Petrova and Megan Stonacy won the title, defeating two others in the final, and it was the fifth doubles title for both players in their respective careers.
Now look at some of these titles in the key. So there's a key for a bracket, and you have qualifier, wild card, lucky loser, alternate, special exempt, and protected ranking. And it's like my parents always said, don't worry, you're a loser, but you're a lucky loser.
Yeah, it's like the good third place, and that's nothing to schluff about. There's nothing to tough about. And speaking of tough, I think I'm already sold here. Tennis, you're all right. 2004, that's pretty sweet, but I don't think you can beat this sweet Australian tufted shrub. I was honestly sold at the word tufted.
Yeah, the NASDAQ 100 Open might be the lucky loser today, but this shrub is the great winner.
Absolutely, it is. Undefeated in the first round and moving on to the inevitable next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
simple as that.
Yeah, tufted shrubs. Who knew?
Tufted. I like it. We should. Man, if we have other tufted things show up, they might take the cake here. They might just run away with everything, and then there'll be nothing left but tufted competitors. And what kind of tournament would that be?
A short one.
Short and squat, as was that victorious shrub. Hey, but you know what's standing tall is the next round, round 4.
My round 4 is ready.
In round 4, we have the 246th Mixed Brigade against Tolban.
Okay. Definitely, we've got a mixed brigade. They're fighters in the Spanish Republican Army in the Spanish Civil War, going up against a village, I'm sure, full of fighters. I'm sure they've seen their own fair share of other stuff going on, but we're going to have to learn about that in a moment. Let's jump right in.
Now, as we said, this is a mixed brigade of the Spanish Republican Army during the Spanish Civil War, who projected in the winter in Catalonia shortly before the end of the war. It was not assigned to any division, and it would be the last mixed brigade to be formed.
Okay. What were we mixing here? Looks like perhaps it was a conglomeration of other brigades. That's just an extrapolation here. But let's get into the education of ourselves. The decision to establish the 246th Mixed Brigade was taken in January of 1939 amidst the chaos of the rebel faction's devastating Catalonia offensive and the massive retreat of the Spanish Republican military and civilian columns toward the French border. And as far as information is available, the brigade was in the process of being structured in Calalia, a shoreline town, but the names of the commanding officers in charge of the instruction of the recruits remains unknown.
Now, in the face of the swift and steady advance of the Francoist armies in the heart of Catalonia, the constitution of this 11th hour brigade was next to impossible. It is not known whether it became operational, and it thus probably existed only on paper.
That seems like a good one to get drafted into, though, if you got to. They've got a sweet flag here, military flag. Is that just of the brigade, or is that of the? It says of the Popular Army. It's got red, yellow, and purple. It looks pretty nice. But you know what else looks pretty nice? I'm picturing in my head because there's not a picture. Our other contestant, the village of Taban.
Now, this is in eastern Yemen, located in the Hadramaut Governorate. I don't know. I'm not really good at Yemenis. But there it is. The small village in Yemen.
And that is all that we can tell you. Time zone, UTC +3. That might look good on a T-shirt. This place might look good on a T-shirt as well. But I don't have a picture. I don't have any more details of it. Looks like there are districts in this governorate. It looks like the capital is Mukalla, and we're just gonna have to believe that this Taban was a nice place.
Well, for all we know, they both only exist on paper, but only one of them has a red, yellow, and purple flag.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. Looking at the flag of Yemen, the town in which, or the nation in which this town resides, it's red, white, and black, the same horizontal striped pattern here. But if it's going to come down to color palette here: red, white, and black versus red, yellow, and purple. So it's pretty much just white and black better than yellow and purple. And normally I would say yes, but I kind of don't think so in this case. I like the strikingness of it.
I want to go with the paper brigade. Sorry.
Let's go.
Mixed brigade.
Hey, it could be mixed papers. Some of them are thin, some of them are thick, but they're all good enough to punch your ticket into the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Do you remember the Paper Brigade movie? Do you remember this? I can't be the only one.
Is that the one where they were paper boys and they went out and on their bikes and threw papers at everything, and then did also something good?
Yeah, and they wore like Carmatz's armor, and it was You remember this?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And do you remember Newsies, where they wore those awesome hats and sang in the streets?
I don't think those movies have much in common other than the papers, but yes.
Yes, well, hey, that just goes to show you how diverse and successful paper can be. And I think now it's no question that this 246 Mixed Brigade is awesome. Well, let's see what type of mad paper our contestants in the next round are going to make it rain with.
Round 5.
In this round, we have Pierre Horsfall against Erigeron Erisolius.
Yes, two individuals with names straight out of Tolkien. Let's see which one will be able to find the one ring, which is entrance into the next round.
Now, Pierre Horsfall probably didn't find a ring because he's a retired hotelier and politician from Jersey. He's a member of the State's Assembly from 1975 for 27 years and was also president of Policy and Resources on the Policy and Resources Committee. He was Jersey's most senior politician. Now, for our American listeners, I'm not saying Jersey as if I'm from Jersey. This is a place across the pond.
Yes, you've heard of New Jersey. Well, this is essentially old Jersey. And this guy has been a politician, it seems, for quite some time. Uh, on the 24th of June in 2021, though, it was announced that Horsfall would be a founding member of the soon to be launched, and so at this point only existed on paper as well, Jersey Liberal Conservatives Party. Sounds a bit like it could only exist on paper as well. Founded and formed by External Relations Minister Philip Bayhach.
Pierre is married to a woman named Thelma, and it says their marriage ended in 2021, and I don't know if that's because of divorce or death.
Not included in this article, but what's also not included in this article is our other contestant, Erigeron aerosoleus.
Now, this is a species of flowering plant in the family Asteraceae, known by the common names arid throne fleabane and dry sun fleabane, native to the southwestern United States, mainly Arizona and northwestern Mexico.
This is an annual or perennial herb, up to 70 centimeters. That's 26 inches tall, with a thick taproot. The leaves are spatula shaped near the bottom of the plant and thread like higher on the stem. One plant can produce as many as 50 small flower heads at the ends of long, spindly branches.
Now, each head then contains 125 to 180 white, pink, or lavender ray florets and many small yellow disc florets. It sounds like a beautiful little perennial herb.
It does, but like, what is more beautiful? Its visual appearance or any of its three awesome names: Erigeron aerosoleus, also known as the arid throne fleabane, colloquially the dry sun fleabane. I'm just gonna double down on my Tolkien-esque Lord of the Rings sounding names here. This one's got three of them.
Yeah, I think it has to be the winner just because Pierre sounds like a nice man, but his name sounds like somebody who would be a villain in a Tolkien story.
Yes, Pierre Horsfall, the leader of the dark
Hoteliers, the dark hoteliers.
yeah. And hey, I'm sure going back to the beginning, if a lot of people lose a lot of stuff, and is this the type of guy that if he found a ring in his hotelier, he would have returned? It's tough to say.
I doubt it.
But I think somebody with such a noble name as Arid Throne Fleabane would probably do so.
Yeah, one would hope. Fleabane. You got to be a nice guy with a name like Fleabane, or at least have thick skin.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's all arbitrary anyways, and I feel better about making this choice. So, you with the thick taproot are moving on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
If you don't like about it, you can leave a comment, but it's our show and we make the rules.
Absolutely. But you're welcome to do so on any of the places that you find this podcast. We'd encourage it greatly. You can rate us whatever you feel like. Send a comment, just say hey if you want to. And if you really want to be awesome, you can rock some of our sweet swag, stickers, shirts, and whatnot, available on our Facebook group and on Redbubble. But Rob, do you know what's not presently available on any of those places?
Round 6?
Round 6.
Make me turn around the last curve. He comes around the last side, and there you have it. There is your winner, round 6.
In round 6, we have the Ervalsdeild women's domestic all-first team against Jigme Namgyel Engineering College.
Two things just fantastic. Looks like we've got something, an honor bestowed, and a place that probably has people graduating with honors. Just a smart round shaping up here. Let's see which one will be successful.
Now, the women's domestic all-first team is the annual Ervalsdeild honor bestowed on the best players in the league following every season. And this league is actually Icelandic women's basketball.
Awesome. So this is the Icelandic women's basketball all-star team. This is all of your Icelandic Kobe's, and all of your Icelandic female, just all the ballers possible. But the best ones, they come here. They must be, like the All-American team. They don't actually play a game together, do they? This is just an honorary team.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And with names like Dagbort Dog, Karlsdottir, you have to be good at basketball. I think it's just a rule.
Yep. Oh wow, just ex- spectacular names here, and you see a lot of repeats. So these ladies were holding it down and perhaps dunking it down for many, many years consecutively.
Yeah, absolutely. LeBron, you got nothing on Brindis Gumadistudor.
Oh, absolutely not. And Bjorg Hoffenstein's daughter, she could make it rain from outside.
Yeah, from outside. Not even 3-point line. She literally just makes it rain.
Yeah. And they're not even cold because they're from there and used to it. You gotta love it. But something else that let's find out if we are going to and or got to love our other contestant, the Jigme Namgyel Engineering College, earlier known by a few other titles, is a constituent college of the Royal University of Bhutan.
Now, this was established in 1972, coinciding with the third 5-year economic development plan. It is 800 meters above sea level and at the west end of Diwathang town. The institute is 11 miles from Samdrup Jankar in eastern Bhutan.
Diwathang Town. That sounds like that could be Party Central as well.
Yeah. Now, this started with an infrastructure development in 2018 and started offering diploma-level programs in civil and electrical engineering all the way back to 1974. The course in mechanical engineering was introduced in 1988, and in the early 70s it even offered certificate-level courses in surveying and drafting.
And the preeminent vision for this came in this following quote: a premier institute of applied engineering, management, and technology towards developing highly competent and innovative technical personnel infused with the values of gross national happiness.
Now, not only is that great, but this is the first and oldest university in Bhutan, which generally makes sense if you're first. I don't think you need oldest. I think we agree with both of those. I think one implies the other.
It's good to say them both. I think I'd like to know both.
Its nickname? JNEC.
The Fighting Genex. All right. Go. Yeah, that's clever. I like they've got an emblem here. It basically looks like two dragons standing on their tails holding up either what is a double layered shield or some sort of vial, like a tub of something that you couldn't set down because it's rounded on the bottom and would likely spill on your dragon friend's foot.
Well, luckily they're engineers. They could probably figure out a way.
Trained some dragons, I guess. Could those dragons, though, especially while holding that giant cask of gosh knows what, have defeated any of these all-star teams of Icelandic just female ballers?
No.
No.
No. The answer is no.
I don't think so. Most recently, because they had to take off in the 2019 to 20 season, but they're back at it. So we've got such all-stars presently on the 20 to 21 domestic all-first team as Dagbjort Dag Karlsdottir, Eva Margaret Christiansdottir, Helena Sverresdottir, Dagin Lisa Davidsdottir, and Isabella Osk Sigurðardóttir. And so I'm sorry about all that, but we'll know those names a lot better when they show up as all-stars in the WNBA probably at some point. But until that point, they're going to have to just remain all-stars here on the Ultimate Tournament of Everything.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
We could keep reading names, and that university could keep losing. But I think we can move on.
Move on to round 7.
Round seven. Round seven.
Round 7.
Buckle up, everybody. Here's a word I can't pronounce. In round 7, we have Peneglat Amycibacter psychrophrenalicus against Bulint Bulakbasi.
I'm so glad that you always go first on these. Yes, we've got a gram-positive, non-spore forming something or other versus something that is, probably gram-negative and has probably formed some spore. I don't know. I don't really know how that works at that level, but definitely something very different. Let's jump in to the first one.
Now, this is a non-modal bacterium from the genus I also can't pronounce, which has been isolated from an alpine ice cave in Salzburg, Austria. This is, I think, how some of those zombie movies start. They find a bacteria frozen in ice in a cave somewhere. Some scientist brings it out. Somebody drops it in a lab. And before we know it, 28 days later, your neighbors are eating people.
Yeah, and if your neighbor is a Turkish footballer, it might be our other contestant, Bülent Bolukbasi. Former, but let's see, he's still around, born June of 1976. He started and finished his professional career at the club of his place of birth, Andanspor. Became a Turkey national footballer in March of 2004 against Croatia, and that was his first and last international cap.
In 2012, he started his coaching career at Andaspor, taking the role of youth coach. In 2016, he took his first job as manager of the Gaziantep Büyükşehir Belediyespor. And in 2019, he was given the role of director of football at his former club, which he also captained as a player.
Excellent. Yes. So he wasn't. So only one international cap, but so he was good within the country, not so good against apparently Croatia, but good enough for him to keep on getting higher and higher positions. Director of football. That sounds pretty impressive.
Yeah, it sounds like he's been doing some great things in Turkey in football, things it looks like he continues to do. He was a midfielder. He was 5'8.5", and he is currently 46.
That is all true, but yet my heart sings to me to say this word that I can't begin to attempt to pronounce. Isolated in just an ice cave. That sounds like the start of so many other movies. Now, if that guy was a director of films instead of football, perhaps he could have directed such an amazing film.
Yeah, he probably could. This is probably how Frozen should have started.
24 days. Was it 20 days later?
28 days later, but that's okay.
28 days later meets Frozen. I think that's probably what we would have gotten. Let it eat brains. Let it eat brains. But in this case, I think we're just going to let this one with the really long, I'm going to choose this one with a really long name, hoping that you'll say it again to the next round. What do you think?
I won't, but we can let Turkish football go.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Turkeys have those like weird bird feet with like 3 long toes, right?
Yes.
And if a turkey hits the ball with its like gobbler thing, is that the equivalent of a handball, or is that more like hitting it with your forehead?
Mike, are you just realizing that Turkey, it's not the bird, it's a country full of people. It's not.
No, I know.
It's not a land of
but,
turkeys.
We're a week away from Thanksgiving, Rob, and I got turkey on the mind. But that's not the only thing I have on the mind. I also have round 8.
I say, would you by chance have any round 8?
Round 8!
In round 8, we have Ken Robinson, Canadian politician, against The Beast, the album.
Now perhaps this politician may have been known at times as the Beast. We'll have to see if that information is included in the article at a glance, not seeing it real quick. And the Beast, an album by Polish death metal band Vader. Let's see which one of these is going to be able to rock our socks into the next round.
Ken Robinson, the Canadian politician, is also a liar because his first name is actually William. William Kenneth Robinson, born July 16th, 1927, passed away December 31st, 1991. He was a Canadian lawyer, barrister, and Liberal member of Parliament. He was a native of Toronto and was elected in the riding of Lakeshore in 1968 and then lost in the renamed riding of Toronto.
Okay, yeah. I mean, lawyers are known for being exclusively truth telling. So I'm sure that his name was just a snafu will work out. Looks like he was renamed, reelected, won a third time, renamed. Maybe one of those was when they changed it from William to Kenneth. And he has served in the following roles: Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of National Health and Welfare, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Justice and Attorneys General of Canada, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of State for Social Development, and, you guessed it, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of the National Revenue.
That last one surprised me. I didn't know he was going to be a parliamentary secretary again. Didn't see that coming.
Well, neither did he. He was a little surprised. Looks like people were surprised. They rectified their thing, and he lost his seat in the 1984 election. 7 years later, passing away, likely unrelated.
Yeah, I'm really hoping unrelated. I really hope it wasn't like one of those things where once the people stopped believing in him, then he lost all his magic.
Clap your hands. I need you to clap your hands. My first name has already disappeared.
As with all politicians, if you don't vote for them, they don't exist anymore.
No, but just like that which is underneath your bed, whether you've looked for it or not, let's jump over to the Beast. Again, Polish death metal, some of the deadest death metal that there is, from a band called Vader, released on the 8th of September 2004 in Japan, and looks like about a week and a half later in Poland, and a day later in in Europe and the United States by Metal Blade Records.
Is there some crazy, like, very active underground Japanese death metal scene that I don't know about?
Japanese, Polish, pre-European, and American, I think is how it should be titled. Yeah, they get it first, they get it hardest, and then when we're ready for it, it'll come to us.
Well, I'm not ready. Now, the album's working title was Spiritual Disease, and the release preceded by the single Beware the Beast, which released August 25th of that year. The album was nominated for a Fridark Award in the category Metal Album of the Year. 2 music videos have been made from the songs Dark Transmission and Choices, which are directed by Wojciech Glodek. Video clips were shot at RG Studio. While recording the album in Poland, the Beast landed at number 8 and dropped out 5 weeks later, and also charted, but it doesn't tell us where, in Japan.
Yeah, well, it made the list, and they had to make this music. It was recorded between May and June of 2004 at RG Studios in Poland and was produced by Peter Wikskierik. The album was mastered by Jacek Golowski in the JG Lab studio in Warsaw, Poland. Now, originally, drum sessions took place at the Hertz studio in Białystok in February of 2004 with drummer Krzysztof Doc Raskowski. However, Raskowski fell down a flight of stairs, causing arm and leg injuries. And because of the accident, the studio sessions were postponed, and they ultimately went with a different drummer.
Now, when asked about it, one of the band members said basically he was drunk, which is one of the reasons we decided he had to quit the band. It wouldn't have been such big drama around it. They tried to make the Beast more melodic compared to the previous one, and then they had a new guy, replacing one of the important persons, the drunk drummer, who created Vader and its songs since the beginning, so this sounds like a changing of tone for them.
Yeah, hey, if you can't stand your feet, you can't keep a beat. that's going to be a problem for a drummer. Now, looking at the track listing, 10 tracks, starting with intro, ending with choices, as so many things do. But it looks like in Japan, they actually got a bonus track. They got it 2 weeks earlier and a whole extra song in there. Pretty lucky.
Now I wonder, do they sing in Polish?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah,
now,
probably.
I'm also wondering, do the people in Japan listening to this know any of the words in Polish? Or is it like that
They
song in the 80s that the words were all nonsense, but it sounded like English and it was really popular?
they probably know everything. Anything that we don't know, they probably know. That's probably why so few of them are listening to this podcast, because they already know, everything.
I'm sorry to bring your intelligence down, dear listener, but now we must pick a winner.
Indeed. So, tough question here. Is it going to be the guy who can't even tell us what his real name is? Got renamed a whole bunch of times. That must be a technical term.
Yeah, there's probably a technical term for that. I think it's called politician. I think I have to give it to the Beast just because it's giving me such nice memories of Boy Meets World when they meet Vader and help him win his match.
Oh, the wrestler guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a great arc with his son and all of that. I'm going to give it to him on its merits alone. I think the album cover is terrifying. I'm sure all of the music was terrifying. And sounds like some of the experiences that took place to create this album were terrifying. And yet, people were just delighted by it. Landing at position 8 on the charts. I'm delighted. And I think that inevitably you can't stop the beast.
No, and you know what? You may have debuted and made it all the way to round 8, and you made it all the way to round 8 today again. And I think for that reason, it's meant to be.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
888, the round of the beast. But
Yes.
you know what? Where we're safe from the beast, Rob?
Under the
Round
covers?
9. Nope, round 9. Let's go.
It's about time for round 9.
Round 9.
In round 9, we have the Hewing Kings Temple Festival against Pretty Boy Floyd.
All right. Two very exciting things. We got a festival held annually, and we've got an individual looks like held up a bunch of people. So let's jump in and see which one is going to strike their own deposit out of the first round.
Now, the Hewing Kings Temple Festival is a Vietnamese festival held annually from the 8th to the 11th day of the third lunar month in honor of Hyeong Vyong or Hyeong Kings. The main festival day, which is a public holiday in Vietnam since 2007, is on the 10th day.
Now, although the official name is the death anniversary of the Hung Kings, the festival does not mark any specific date of death for any of the Hung King. The purpose of this festival is to remember and pay tribute to the Hung Kings, who are traditional founders and the first kings of the nation.
The festival began as a local holiday, but has become recognized as a national holiday. In 2016, the total number of visitors to the festival numbered 7 million.
Oh, wow. Not to, circle back too much, but now this is sounding like Party Central.
Definitely. Now, the ceremony takes place over several days, but the 10th day is considered the most important. A procession starts at the foot of the mountain and stops at every small temple before reaching the High Temple. Here, pilgrims offer prayers and incense to their ancestors.
Okay, so it's not about the party, it's about the past. And speaking of the past, let's get to a particular party known as Charles Arthur Floyd, or Pretty Boy Floyd, an American bank robber.
He operated in the West and Central states, and his criminal exploits gained widespread press coverage in the 1930s. He was seen positively by the public because it was believed that during robberies he burned mortgage documents, freeing many people from their debts. That's nice. Can he come
Yeah.
back?
Yeah, he was somewhat of a an alleged Robin Hood. He was ultimately, though, pursued and killed by a group of Bureau of Investigation or BOY agents who probably had no trouble finding this boy, and that were led by Melvin Purvis. Historians have speculated as to which officers were at the event, but accounts document that local officers Robert Pete Pyle and George Coran were present at his fatal shooting and also at his embalming.
That last one's a little weird, but okay. Now, he's continued to be a familiar figure in American popular culture, sometimes seen as notorious, other times portrayed as a tragic figure and even the victim of hard times of the Great Depression. But I think, given what we know about him, he might have been a folk hero.
Yes, and just like so many other folk heroes, Woody Guthrie wrote a protest song romanticizing his life in 1939 called Pretty Boy Floyd, which recounted Floyd's supposed generosity to the poor. It compared foreclosing bankers to outlaws, calling both actions robbery. And the song has subsequently been covered by many recording artists.
Pretty Boy Floyd has a pretty ugly rap sheet, however. He has been arrested for stealing $350 from a post office because don't forget, for a long time, post offices were also banks. You could go cash your check at the post office and even open up a savings account with the post office, a service that doesn't exist today. But let's bring that back.
Yeah, I mean, back then a stamp probably cost like a nickel, but so did a bag of flour. So, I mean, if you could have traded a stamp for a bag of flour, we were doing all right.
He got arrested for vagrancy in Kansas
Hmm.
City and again in Pueblo, Colorado. He got arrested in Akron, Ohio under the alias Frank Mitchell and charged with the murder of an Akron police officer who'd been killed during a robbery that evening. Ooh, not good.
Yeah, it goes on here. There's a couple different accounts of basically how he went down. According to the FBI, they shot him, and Floyd said, "I'm done for. You've hit me twice." A news report from the Times it lays it out a little differently, saying he was wounded and tried to crawl out of a place. Looks like he got only $120 from his last robbery. Um, and there was also a retired Liverpool East police captain who saw the story even slightly different.
Now, this also, he's involved, they think, in the Kansas City massacre. People disagree on whether he was or not. I've actually been to Union Station in Kansas City where this took place. There's still bullet holes in the brick there.
Wow. I mean, say what you will about him, but the as we've said, he was embalmed. The officer watched, and he was briefly viewed at the Sturgis Funeral Home in East Liverpool, Ohio. Before being sent to Oklahoma, his body was placed on public display there, and the funeral was attended by between 20 and 40,000 people. And this, you know, basically criminal's funeral remains the largest funeral in Oklahoma history.
Oklahoma, what are you doing?
Um, hey, they're having a rootin' tootin' good time, as are the people going to this Young Kings festival. Although, they're probably there for a lot more wholesome reasons. They're trying to, look back, honor the past, hopefully, maybe get a little help on the future. I'm not sure where these people stand on that, but Vietnamese food though is definitely better than Oklahoma food.
Yeah, what is even Oklahoma food?
I think you just eat a handful of dirt.
Yeah, that's probably it. Oklahoma. I hope we've offended you because we're not going to give you the win because you're not in this round. Mike, I think I got to go with Pretty Boy Floyd.
Wait, really? Okay, I mean it's a great story. It's obviously been shared a whole bunch of times. I don't know enough about this festival. It doesn't even say that they have food. I'm sure that they do. It's a lot of days. Um, but I don't want to have to climb a mountain, frankly. And there is I don't, to the best of my knowledge, believe that there's a mountain other than that tall mountain of a figure that would be Pretty Boy Floyd.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
It says here that his occupation was gangster, comma, bank robber. Like if he would have just robbed gangster banks, this probably would have all of the bad stuff would have been avoided.
Yeah, and he probably doesn't even need the comma then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Commas, kids, they matter.
They do indeed. And so do you, all of our listeners. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Ultimate Tournament of Everything. Please don't forget to rate us 5 stars, comment what you think, tell your friends, join the Facebook group, and us every single day of the week.
That's right. You know you can find us every day for a short episode and every other day, not really, but other days for a full-length episode. Shorts will come out every day that's not a Tuesday or a Thursday, and full-length episodes like this, Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you can learn a little bit, laugh a little bit, and hopefully share this with some people you know.
Yes, absolutely. Let's learn our lessons from the past, just as those going to festivals and or being arrested for robbing things. Here we are, moving forward together, and we can't wait to see you at the next installment of
The ultimate tournament of everything.